So hey guys, so I'm doing a bit of a series on the legalities and possession. Because we're getting a lot more tenants who are choosing not to pay their rent, or they'll get into a bit of arrears and then they'll just say, you know what, I know I can get away with this for 6-8 months, and they just stop paying the rent. It's the most frustrating thing, as a landlord, when that happens, you're virtually powerless to do anything, Now, I know a lot of people get frustrated and they say, well, can't I just go around, knock on the door, and kick them out? Can't I just change the locks? Can't I just, do all this reactive stuff? And the reality is you cannot. If you do that, you are committing a crime. And with the way things are, you will be convicted of a crime. And that's not what you want on your record because, I'm not even going to go into that side. Just don't do it. The reality is, in this country, the only way that you can safely get possession of a property is if a court orders it, or if the tenant returns the property to you and effectively gives you back the property. So they're the only two options. Let's face it. If you try and force them, if you try and coerce them, if you try and lie to them, do anything to get them to surrender the property, or it isn't very clear that they did that, in other words, they put it in writing, they handed back the keys, they did that sort of thing, then you can be convicted. So realistically, to do it safely, you've got to go through the court system. Now, the court system right now is way behind where it should be. We're talking somewhere between 4 months and probably about 7 or 8 months before you can get into court and get possession. And even when you do get possession, they're still going to say 14 days or 30 days or 7 days, to possession. And then once you do that, then you've got to potentially instruct bailiffs to get them out of the property. So it can be another month before bailiffs even get out there. So it's hugely frustrating. And the challenge now, whereas previously, if people, they were behind, they'd pay a bit, they might pay sporadically. Now it's almost like they're just going, hey, forget about it, boom. We're having, more so now where drug and gangs and things like that are getting involved, and they're forcing people to take leases. That person passes referencing, all looks good, they'll pay for a month or a couple of months, and then they'll just stop. And what they're doing is then using that to deal drugs out of. And invariably what happens, the police find out, they go and knock the door down. So you've got a lot of this sort of stuff going on. And it really, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it apart from play the game, which is the law, And here's the thing, if it's something like that where, they're going to stop paying, you're going to have to get possession, you're going to have to wait, full stop, there's nothing you can do. But prior to getting to that extreme, what you can do is you can try and negotiate with them to get them out. Because let's face it, and this is one of the other things, one of the key points, the governments or the councils around the country now are saying, do not leave until a bailiff comes and kicks you out. Because we're not going to give you a council-funded housing until you are bailiffly kicked out, or evicted. So it's appalling because you've got here's the law. The councils are telling them to break the law pretty much. The problem is it's not breaking the law, break the contract, And that's what they're doing. They don't care about landlords. They don't care about any of that. In actual fact, they are giving really bad advice to those people because what they're saying is wait until a bailiff comes, which means now you've potentially got the bailiff costs that you're going to add as a tenant. The landlord will have to claim. You're going to have that cost. You're going to have potentially cleaning and all those other things, which may be there anyway, but also locksmith, if we have to change the locks. So the councils are telling them to do this and break their contract and actually costing them more money. Now, the problem is a lot of these people, they have no intention of paying back. They have no means to pay it back. And unfortunately, it's the council saying, just cost the landlord money. Nothing we can really do about that. What should happen is somebody, a group of landlords should get together and sue the councils for advising this. But obviously with evidence and proof and things like that, makes it hard. That's the only way to get it. The councils are saying that they're doing the wrong thing by everyone, but it's fully government endorsed and that sort of thing. So there's not really much we can do. The final thing is, and actually the prequel to this is, don't let it get to that if you can get away with it. Now, if it's a gang or it's something like that you really aren't going to be able to negotiate them, they're not going to talk, you've just got to go through the things. But in a lot of cases, if someone's fallen behind the rent, if someone doesn't have the money, they've lost their job, all that sort of those reasons where they're genuinely in hardship or despair, they're the people that you're better to negotiate with. And even if that negotiation is, hey, I'll give you back the deposit, I'll even pay you £1,000 to get out, or I don't chase you for the money you owe, you're better to get them out and get somebody back in that's going to pay the rent on time. So that negotiation and that upfront attempt to try and work it out, mediation, is the key now. And the earlier you do that, the more likely that you'll get an outcome that is suitable. Now, in a lot of cases you won't be able to, and they're just going to stay and you're going to have to go to court. That's a given. So, so my advice, we've been 1,300 properties over, what have we been doing, 17 years we've been managing them. We've seen a lot of the possession things and a lot of these sort of things happen, rent arrears and that. It's always best to try and negotiate it early, okay? And use that escalating model to, try and really mitigate your losses. It's very rarely about getting the money back. Yeah, we can organise payment plans and things like that. But a lot of times we find the payment plans, they do them for a couple of months, they stop. And so what do? Do you go back to court? It's very hard to force them, okay? And really, for sometimes, it's better just to write it off and move to a new chapter in, your investment career. But yeah. All right, guys. So if you've got any questions, by all means, send them through. All right, see you later. Bye.